Hello, stationery friends. Today we're going to take a closer look at my Traveler's Notebook refresh when it comes to mid-year 2024 and my planner setup, which is the weekly memo setup in my Traveler's Notebook. Specifically, I recently posted a video about how I got rid of the Hobonichi A6 Techo from my daily driver stationery toolkit around the planning system, and why I gravitated back towards the weekly memo setup in the Traveler's Notebook. I received some great questions, some great commentary, and some feedback on that video, so I'll address that here as well, hopefully in one shot today. One of the other great things that happened recently with my Traveler's Notebook, a fellow YouTuber, Cameron, reached out and pointed me in the direction of his YouTube video specifically addressing overhang when you stuff 3 or more refills into a Traveler's Notebook cover. He effectively hacked the elastic setup in the Traveler's Notebook, and I did it on my Traveler's Notebook, and I really have been enjoying it. So I thought I'd share a link to his video and show you a closer look of how the elastic hack works in my Traveler's Notebook. One of the other cool things that happened recently was the fact that I got the opportunity to review some Lochby products. They sent me a few of their products recently, and I have to say it has revolutionized my approach to my daily driver stationery toolkit and what I am putting into my daily drivers. I was honestly blown away by the Lochby product. And if you're interested, when you take a close look in this video, we're just going to do a first impressions look. I'll do a specific video with an in-depth review on the Lochby products. I will also be posting up a affiliate link that you can use in terms of getting a discount on these products here. Specifically around affiliate links, I'll also be sharing some updates with respect to my affiliate link for Page Anchor products as well. As I mentioned, I recently posted a video on the Hobonichi A6 Techo planner and why it didn't work out for me. Effectively, the daily layout wasn't very conducive to how I like to plan my life and my week and my day. There's a lot to like about the Hobonichi A6 Techo, and in fact, I really did enjoy it for the trial run that I gave it. At the same time, not enough to completely replace what has worked for me in the past, which is a Traveler's Notebook weekly memo setup. Specifically with the Traveler's Notebook weekly memo setup, I love the horizontal layout where you've got the weeks on the one side and a memo on the other side. There were some great questions and commentary on that video. Thank you everyone for responding to that video and sharing your thoughts and your feedback and products that have worked for you. With respect to some of the consistent questions that I got on that video, number one, why didn't I take a look at the Hobonichi Weeks Slim notebooks? The simple answer is, where I live, getting a Hobonichi is really hard to come by. I'd have to order it, which I did with respect to the Techo there, and get it online. It comes with a cost as well with respect to getting it shipped over to me. And those notebooks from Hobonichi aren't exactly the cheapest planner solutions out there. What I have readily available around me are Traveler's Notebook refills. When I did that video, I had already purchased myself the weekly memo for 2024 pre-populated as part of their annual offering from Traveler's Company. When it was suggested to me to try out the Techo in the first half of the year, I just ended up sidelining my first half of the weekly memo from Traveler's Company and picking up my second half for the remainder of the year. Now, when I took a closer look at the Hobonichi weekly online and even asked a few folks who have the weekly for themselves, what became apparent is some of the things that I didn't like about the Techo, which was the usage of space when it came to the quotes at the bottom of the planner, was exactly the same in the Hobonichi Weekly. So you lose a little bit of space in the bottom of the page with respect to quotes. And specifically around quotes, I like to put my own quotes. If you've seen my weekly memo video prior to, in terms of how I like to plan things, which I have changed up a little bit, I should say, I like to put my own quotes as reflections for my upcoming week. And so having it pre-populated with quotes that may or may not resonate with me is a little bit of a risk in my opinion in terms of how I like to use my paper and my planner setup. The other thing that I took a closer look at was the grid spacing within the Hobonichi Weekly, and did confirm with a few folks there's a little bit less space available in the weekly compared to the Traveler's Notebook, Traveler's Company Weekly Memo as well. The grid spacing is 3.5 millimeters according to the website, and the Traveler's Company grid spacing on their weekly memo is 4 millimeters. So it's pretty minor to gripe about, honestly, but I like to maximize my weekly memo setups with every little bit of space I can possibly get in there. The other question that came up was, have I looked at Sterling Ink Products? Now, this is a fantastic company down in the States that I will have accessibility to in terms of readily available products. Given it's the mid-year as well, one of the things I really like about planners for me personally is having it pre-populated. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind populating a fresh notebook at any point, but when it comes to having it pre-populated, I really enjoy that. And again, as I mentioned, I already had a Traveler's Notebook Weekly Memo Planner available to me because I purchased that in anticipation of continuing on with my regular system in 2024, and here I have been experimenting. The Sterling Ink products look great, and I might consider it for 2025. It does come with a bit of a price tag, again, getting it shipped to me where I live in Canada. Tomoe paper typically raises the prices, and then throwing shipping on top of that, getting it up to me, it becomes a little less cost effective with products that are a little bit more accessible to me, unless there's a great sale. So I might be considering the Sterling Ink products. I will personally wait until the end of the year when they've got their 2025 pre-populated planner lineup ready to go. I didn't see a pre-populated horizontal on their website, so I'd be keen to see if they've got a horizontal layout with the weekly and the memo pre-populated for 2025. There were some other great options in there with respect to companies that I'd never heard about, Take Note or Estelle. Fantastic offerings, I have to say, so thank you very much for sharing that. Because again, just in terms of what's readily available for me and how I want to spend my money with respect to my experimentations, I'm just going to hit pause on that, continue with my Traveler's Notebook Weekly Memo for the rest of the year, and see towards the end of the year what's available for 2025 and how I might consider changing up my planner setup at that point in time. For now, I've been really enjoying my weekly memo again. It's been refreshing to get back into this compared to the daily in the Hobonichi A6 Techo. And as I mentioned in that other video, one of the things that I really learned about experimenting with the Techo is that I really prefer a weekly setup, and specifically the horizontal layout. Just seems to be perfect for how my brain works and how my brain likes to plan and organize for my upcoming week. So we'll jump over to the desk and I'll quickly show you my weekly memo setup moving forward for the remainder of 2024. My Traveler's Notebook setup for the rest of the year has changed primarily because of the planner inclusion again into my Traveler's Notebook, switching away from the Hobonichi A6 and back into the weekly memo. I've got my Superior Labor brass clip 2-pen holder. I really love that clip, and I love the complementary look of the olive notebook with the natural brass clip color. Inside, I've got my weekly memo, and as I mentioned, I had the second half available to me because I bought it for 2024. This is a pre-populated weekly memo. I decorated it with stickers, put down the dry transfer of Carpe Diem, because really the rest of the year for me is going to be all about just making sure I'm seizing the day, making every day count and not necessarily counting the days, which is a fantastic quote from Muhammad Ali. That one's always resonated with me, and I figured it would be a very good theme for the remainder of 2024 for me. I've decided, just based on my experience with Hobonichi A6, to use this a little bit more, specifically highlights and even though it's limited space, write down a few key things that I'm tracking or working towards. I have a couple of highlighters that I like to use with specific color coding. I also have started really using the monthly overview. Even though it's limited space again, I've just been curious whether the limited space is good enough for some of the big events or appointments to keep in mind. And so far, it's been really, really nice. If you've watched my weekly memo setup prior to, I had it a little bit differently, and I decided to incorporate some of the great learnings from my Hobonichi A6. One of the things that I've decided to do here on the weekly side for sure is splitting out the left and right sides. This is only for appointments, whether that's personal appointments like dental appointments or meetups with specific people or dates with my wife or family events. So I've kept that all on the left-hand side. And the right-hand side here are to-dos, must-dos for that day. On the memo side, I've reserved a space for my quote, my own personally selected theme for the week. And this week I've only written down 3 things, but more often than not, I will actually use up the entirety of that space there. The other thing that I really liked doing in the Hobonichi A6 was the habit tracker. So I decided I'd incorporate the habit tracking here. What I had in my previous weekly memo setup was drawing little icons like this at the bottom of every single day and then striking it off in terms of whether I was doing that specific thing. Decided I really liked the format of just an overall weekly look and scratching off whether I accomplished that habit or not. Down here are must-dos for the week ahead, and at the bottom here is really whether it would be nice to accomplish these things or for future planning purposes. So far, this layout has been working really well for me. This space in here, I was curious because in my Hobonichi A6 Techo, I would either cram as much as I possibly could in the day with respect to to-do lists or to-do activities, or more often than not, have very little things on my dailies and leave a lot of blank wasted space. Given that I was fitting myself back into a limited space format here, I was curious for myself whether I needed more space. So I left it intentionally blank here as a spillover. And even in some cases, honestly, I don't think I needed it. So I've just been experimenting with that. I might repurpose the space for something else entirely. If I flip to the next week, yeah, I haven't used it at all. And maybe one spot down here. That's my current planner setup. It's been really, really refreshing to get back into it. I've been really enjoying it. My middle refill here is my catch-all or commonplace notebook. So I've just been jotting down my daily observations, thoughts, reflections, quotes, or poems that I've been really enjoying. And my last refill in here is the Stationery at 4 refill. So this is where I do my idea processing, ideas for videos, my reflections on my stationery toolkit, and some of the explorations that I have been considering. Page anchor is still very much at the back of the book. And the other thing that I've really changed here is just getting rid of my file folder and keeping it simply to the plastic board. I forget what this is called, but let's just call it the plastic board for now. And my brass clip from the Travelers Company. So this is my daily driver right now with respect to my Travelers notebook setup. A fellow YouTuber, Cameron, reached out to me and pointed me in the direction of one of his videos on hacking the elastics in the Travelers notebook when it comes to overhang. For those of you who know, and for those of you who don't know, I suppose, when you get a Travelers Company notebook cover, it's advertised as obviously being able to add as many refills as you want within the Travelers notebook cover. However, one of the maybe potentially frustrating things is when you get past 2 notebooks, the 3rd notebook, 4th notebook that you start adding in, typically because of the way the elastics are initially provided within the Travelers notebook cover, you get the middle notebooks sticking out, and that creates overhang. I talked about this in one of my videos way back when, and one of my commenters at that time pointed me in the direction of their hack, or a fellow YouTuber's hack, in terms of using the elastics or the rubber bands tying the notebooks together. It didn't quite work. It was pretty good, but you had to finagle and adjust and realign the elastics every now and then because it was between the notebooks itself, not necessarily tied into the cover. And the way my stationery toolkit had evolved from that video into my daily drivers up until recently, I just decided to stick with 2 notebooks or 2 refills inside my travelers. When I decided to refresh my planner setup, I really liked having certain refills in my traveler's notebook here, but I quickly realized I wanted at least 3 in my traveler's notebook. So Cameron's offering was perfect timing. Let's jump over to the desk. I'll show you how the elastic hack worked for me. But before we do that, here's a link to his video. It's really well done in terms of what he did to cut the elastics and rethread it through the cover and how it works for him. And I'll show you how it worked for me on my traveler's notebook. And when I'm speaking about the elastics, let me be really clear here. I'm talking about the main elastic that comes with the traveler's notebook cover, which is this guy right here. They also have elastics to bind notebooks together. So you would typically take one notebook, put another notebook, and wrap an elastic around that, and then slide it in. That's how the Traveler's Company recommends putting more than one notebook inside the Traveler's notebook. Now, what is overhang? Well, I'm going to take one of my Traveler's notebook here. I've got 3 refills inside of this. Now, overhang is when you get more than 2 refills in. One of them typically tends to jut out quite a bit from the Traveler's notebook cover, and as a result, it's not damaging. It does put extra stress on the middle of the notebook in terms of this elastic here, and more exposure of that metal notebook as well. Now, I'm intentionally trying to create overhang in this because I've already hacked it, but with that one elastic, what happens sometimes, is, and again, I've already hacked this, but if you just have that middle elastic and you're trying to hold on to 3 notebooks, what tends to happen is this middle notebook, and I'll just exaggerate it for effect, will stick out like that because of how the binding is with that one elastic against the cover. And so you'll get this major overhang of this middle notebook. Now, what is Cameron's hack? So I did it in 2 of my traveler's notebooks, and this guy here and this guy here. And the way you can tell the hack has actually happened is you'll see that I've got one pass through of the elastic in here. And if I were to compare it to this one, which has been hacked, I've got 2 pass-throughs of the elastic in there. What you're doing effectively is creating an extra thread and to put your notebooks on instead of just hanging it off of one. And again, Cameron's video does a great job of explaining this. But I'm going to take apart this notebook just to show you what I mean by that. Pull apart these refills here. And so you're giving yourself extra threads, or extra loops, I should say, to hang off of your cover. One on each side here, and you can wrap it. If you're only doing 3, middle one in here, or if you're wrapping, or if you need 4, you can put 2 more in here. And these middle loops here gives the cover the ability to pull it in snug into the spine of the notebook cover. That way, there's some consistency in terms of how much of the notebooks are evenly spaced out. So we'll just go ahead and pop these all back in. And again, this is to get rid of overhang in terms of the middle notebooks sticking out. If it doesn't bother you, don't worry about it. It doesn't bother me for some reason. And right now, I'm again exaggerating the overhang here, but the idea here is to get this all nice and snug. It's really hard to show on this angle here, I think. Effectively snug with your notebook cover. So I've done this, like I said, on my Camel Traveler's notebook and on my Olive as well. What I also really like about it is, yes, it makes your Traveler's notebook a little bit chunky, having more than 2 refills, but keeps everything nice and consistent inside of it. And as been refreshing to have 3 refills inside my traveler's notebooks again, which I've been enjoying. So thank you, Cameron, for anybody who's willing to do it or wanting to do the hack. Please watch his video. So a bit of an update in terms of one of the partners I work closely with because I love their products. Page Anchor. These are the Page Anchor products here. It's exactly as it sounds. The Page Anchor holds down pages in your book or in your journals. I specifically always have a Page Anchor on the back of my traveler's notebook here because it's a really good option for keeping things effectively lay flat. I had posted a video recently taking a closer look on my Page Anchor specifically and some of my favorite accessories when it comes to my traveler's notebook setup from way back when. Page Anchor and I collaborated earlier on in the year. They provided an affiliate link for folks like you who are interested in picking up the product. And unfortunately, Page Anchor has decided to stop the affiliate link. So my Stat 4 link will no longer work, and I've scrubbed that, I think, as effectively as I could from my channel. They've just decided that the affiliate program is something that they're not offering anymore. I am disappointed that they decided to stop their affiliate program, but I get it, and there's no hard feelings. Completely understand business decisions have to happen. I love the Page Anchor. It's been a great product for me and will continue to be a great product for me. However, for you folks out there who have seen me talk about the Page Anchor, just keep in mind that I no longer have a discount code or link available to you. It's interesting to reflect on timing of events in one's life. When one door closes, another opens. Things seem serendipitous, as if they were meant to be. While the affiliate partnership has dissolved with Page Anchor, another one has opened up. Lochby reached out, and this was a company that wasn't even on my radar. They reached out and sent me some of their products for me to review. One of them being the Field Kit, the other being their Venture Pouch, and the last one here being the Quattro Pen Pouch. And I have to say, I was blown away. I was very surprised. At the same time, just when they reached out, I was skeptical. I felt like I had a really good daily driver setup, but that wasn't going to change things around. And this really has given me some pause, some food for thought when it comes to how I like to use my frequently everyday carry, or what I like to use for my frequently everyday carry, and what I personally have gravitated towards in the past and what I'm gravitating towards now as a result of these amazing products. Full disclosure, they did send me their products to review. I am going to be providing an honest review in an upcoming video. There's a lot to like about these. I had a couple of minor gripes, but nothing significant. The minor gripes being so insignificant that I highly would encourage people to check out the Lochby products. We're going to jump over to the desk, and I'm just going to do a quick first impressions look at these products just so that you guys can get a feel for it. And I'll even throw in a affiliate link if you're interested in using that to get a 10% discount on the Lochby products. Here are the Lochby products that I received. This is the Venture Pouch, the Quattro Pen Pouch, and the A5 Field Journal. I selected brown as the colorway for all 3 products. And right off the bat, I just want to mention this. You can tell the variation in the brown coloring offering. All 3, to be clear, are the same brown in this canvas material, but they are different in terms of the color. And this is more, I would say, brown. This is almost an olive faded gray, and this is a really rich brown. Right off the bat, these Lochby products are all made out of canvas, and that's a big differentiator for them compared to, obviously, leather stationery products out there. So let's take a look at this from a first impressions perspective, one by one. I'm going to set these 2 aside and take a look at the Field Journal. I like my A5 notebook covers primarily for long form journaling and keeping it on my desk. This has really forced me to rethink about hauling my A5 notebooks around. I used to only carry my traveler's notebook with me. It's obviously a smaller format. This was my daily driver for just the only notebook that I needed with the refills that I have in there. This one has made me rethink all of that. And I'll show you why. We're going to just undo this clasp. By the way, this is kind of cool. This is the clasp that holds it together. It's just a lightweight metal on the strap. And opening it up in here, I have multiple notebooks inside of this. I'm just going to pull these out to show you why this has given me consideration in terms of changing out my everyday carry. So this is the field journal. It's got pockets here, sleeves on either side, beautiful yellow honeycomb material inside. I love the combination of the yellow with the brown. It just, that really spoke to me. Pen loop over here, which doesn't get in the way, which I really, really like. It's elastic. But this is the cool thing. It's very similar to the Traveler's Notebook in that it has elastics for your inserts and refills. And you get 4 of them. The intention, oh, cat attack. The intention here is that the Lochby Field Journal is designed for slim inserts to be put in, and you can put up to 4, as I mentioned. Lochby even supplies with the Field Journal a dot grid notebook, and it's Tomoe paper. It's really nice paper. It's a little bit heavier. This is the 68-gram version, not the 52-gram version. 68, I think. But it's definitely the thicker variant of the Tomoe paper. And you slide them in. Again, this doesn't have to be the Lochby refill or insert that you put in here. Right now, I have quite a few of these Midori A5s, or specific topics, I should say. So now you're carrying multiple notebooks at the A5 level in here, and it's a slim profile, which I really like. A long form journal, which is in a leather cover. It's one notebook, which is this guy here. And it's my cheap Tomoe paper notebook, which I'll talk about in a different video. I'm not sure I really like it, but regardless, I keep one of these as my A5 in a leather cover, and I don't carry it around. I leave it on my desk. Having Lochby, though, with multiple A5s with different topics that are relevant to me has changed the way I have viewed my A5 notebook size usage. And what I do is I keep a couple of different notebooks in here. This is my, effectively, I need to do list and marriage meeting ideas. This is the notebook that I keep to make sure my wife and I are on the same page with plans and different projects in our lives, and that we're working towards the goals that we set out to achieve when we got married. I've got a notebook for stories, so I like to write little stories, and might gravitate away from the thickness of this journal, of this notebook, but this is my long form journal. I switched to a summer profile. And the beauty of this is you can stack as many refills as you want, up to 4 in here. But I'm just going to take 2 here of these elastics and stack them like so. And yes, it makes it a little bit chunky with that thicker notebook that I have in there, but still very, very much functional, in my opinion. And you can pull the strap to tighten it all up and keep it nice and bound. The other thing that this notebook has is a Velcro sleeve in the back if you want to stuff anything in there. This is what I've been using as part of my everyday carry kit, in addition to my Traveler's Notebook with me, because now I have the ability to be a little bit more exploratory in my creativity, both in, obviously the marriage stuff that I was just mentioning there very briefly, but having the ability to continue my stories on a whim while I'm out and about, and then my long form journal, which I like using my fountain pens, and every opportunity I get to use as much of it as possible. While I use my Traveler's Notebook here for short form, commonplace, catch-all thoughts and observations, this is really introspective, reflective space that I like in terms of long form journaling. So it's nice that I have all these in here. Here are the page markers that come with it as well. So this is the A5 field journal from Lochby. Really, really like it. I will do a more in-depth review, but my first impression after a few weeks of using this is, holy cow, I'm absolutely in love with it. And it's not very often that I get a product that makes me rethink my entire setup and what I want to carry with me. The next product that I received from Lochby is the Quattro pen pouch, which has replaced my Esterbrook to-go cup. I really like the small form factor of this, and it's called Quattro because it carries 4 fountain pens. I really like this. Beautiful honeycomb. I love the look of the yellow against the brown. That's just me personally. Has a bit of a svelte backing. I don't know if svelte is a word. Now I think about it. Svelte. Something that's very nice and plush to protect your pen. And you can slide your pens in here. Now, the one thing I did notice just right off the bat, so this is one of my larger pens, the Esterbrook. But if I go with an oversized pen, so something like this, it gets a little snug. So this is hitting the bottom here, and the top of your pen is going to be right up against the zipper. So it may not be best for oversized pens, although it's comfortable enough that you could do it. This depends on your own comfort level with respect to the zipper being against the top finial of your pen. I don't mind necessarily, but just some initial considerations in terms of the first impressions. I've just got 4 pens in here. They certainly really paid attention to detail in terms of the stitching, because when you close up the pen pouch, let's see if I can show this on video, it's really designed so that the pens aren't on top of each other. They're snugged in beside each other. So a lot of attention to detail there so that you're not compressing your pens against each other. You're actually giving them a dedicated sleeve and space to reside in. Really like the Quattro pouch. Comes with a sleeve here and a Velcro sleeve on the back, so you can stick way more things in here as much as you want. Love the feel of the canvas as well. This has now become part of my daily driver. It's super lightweight. I love my Esterbrook to-go cup. However, this has quickly replaced that in terms of my daily carry-all. Last but not least is the Venture pouch. And this thing is cool. Right off the bat, it comes with 2 rings to put on a strap if you like. It's got a carrying strap here. Inside, you've got space, and a couple of pocket sleeves that are Velcroed. And then the other zipper is for these elastics to hold in your tools or more pens if you're using it as a stationery kit. Right now I've got my bike tool in here. Again, that beautiful honeycomb backing, I can't get over. I just love the aesthetic of it. But yeah, it's very functional, very lightweight. Right now I've got just medicines and stuff in here for me and my bike tool, as I mentioned, but my plan and my recent experiments with how I've been using it has been to put in my paintbrushes and such in here and use it as my dedicated watercolor carry. So first impressions, like I said, I really love the Lochby products. Again, if you liked what you saw, the discount code is Stationery at 4. That code gives you a 10% discount and also helps to support this channel here. And it is much appreciated if you use that link. Like I said, I'll do a more in-depth review of these products in a future video here so that we can take a closer look, and I'll offer my complete review after I've given it another week or 2 of solid functional use. Other general updates in my life, it's the middle of summer, rapidly approaching the end of July actually. I was at a company event and someone mentioned the fact that there were only something like 25 or 27 more Fridays until Christmas, which was a mind-blowing fact and very staggering. It feels like as one gets older, time just slips by so much faster, and that really just sunk in that I need to get out and spend as much time outdoors. So I've been trying to do that quite a bit recently. Just came back from a very impromptu camping trip, and the mountains are about an hour away from me, so I'm trying to remind myself to take advantage of that as much as possible. One of the things that I really, really like is being on my bicycle. I recently overhauled my bike. It's a drop-down gravel bike, but a very old gravel bike before gravel bikes were really big. I bought it from a marketplace, and the person who owned the bike previously decided to retrofit the gravel bike and turn it into more of a racer bike. The ergonomics aren't quite designed for that, even though it's got the drop-down bars, but he really hacked the bike by putting on disc brakes instead of meat brakes, and changed the tires to really skinny tires, so it effectively turning into a racer bike. Anyhow, I decided that wasn't quite how I wanted to use the bicycle. I use it as a daily driver in terms of commuting to work, but it's since become just my go-to bike for basically everything in town, short of being able to go on trails. So I decided to put on gravel bike tires onto it. So a little bit fatter tires with more knobs than the just smooth racer tires that were on there. I've been really enjoying that. I have this vivid memory that sticks with me when it comes to bicycles. I love bicycles and I love being on a bike. When I grew up in Korea, one of the places I grew up, I should say, there was this moment where I got my first bike and it registered, much like my first fountain pen, it just registered that I had an amount of freedom and mobility that was just bestowed upon me, and I could actually travel distances without having to check in with my parents, which I probably should have done a little bit more of. I got into quite a bit of trouble there, but regardless, I hopped on the bike for the first time, and when the training wheels came off, and after I had fallen a couple times, but got back up on the bike, the wind in my hair and in my face as I'm racing around on this bicycle just stuck with me. And so I've always made sure that I've had a bicycle in my possession as I move from country to country, and as I've gotten older, experimenting with a few different bikes as well. Love mountain bikes. I have also realized the older I've gotten, I am very prone to injuries very easily. I love being on a mountain bike. However, I probably I wouldn't do any serious mountain biking other than your basic trails. I don't own a mountain bike right now. That's something that I've been considering, although a mountain bike, and much like everything right now, everything's inflated in prices. A really good mountain bike is quite expensive, much like a very good gravel bike. All of that, to the point being, is I'm trying to get outdoors as much as possible. I've been outdoors a lot. There has been this nagging thought in the back of my mind that I should bring my camera gear and record my stationery while I'm out and about, and I decided that this summer I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to literally enjoy being present in the mountains or wherever I'm at. And I do have my stationery on me, my Lochby and my toddler's notebook in particular, are the two items that I'm now carrying as a result of some of the considerations of changing things up in my daily drivers. I guess I'm sharing that bicycles, much like fountain pens and stationery, is very much a grounding mechanism and very much an analog thing that I really, really enjoy. Although I am considering just the daily commute to work, which is about 20 kilometers a round trip, can get boring after a while. So I'm considering getting some headphones, some earbuds, and just putting them in my ear and listening to a good audiobook as I ride to and from work. So on that note about bicycles, analog systems, and stationary toolkit updates, thank you very much for watching and joining me today. If you've got any comments, please put them in the comment section below. I do read them. I haven't been as proactive in terms of responding to every single comment recently. As I mentioned, I've just been trying to really enjoy my summer, be out in the fresh air and in the sunshine with my family and my wife, and just soaking up as much free time as I possibly can in that. Especially for where I live in Canada, summer really is only 2 months. Typically, it gets hot at the start of July and cool very rapidly by the end of August. So it's a pretty short season for summer officially in the city that I live in. Again, thanks very much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, a wonderful month ahead, and I really appreciate you giving me some of your considerable, valuable time in watching this video. Take care and bye for now.